Hey everyone, I'm Chris from Champion Helmets, and today we're going to be taking a look at how our top 5 modular helmets of 2019 can actually block noise. Not too long ago we came out with a guide about our best modular helmets for 2019, and today we're revisiting those very helmets. And that's because we've come up with a test of Champion Helmets for noise isolation, so we can see exactly how much noise a helmet actually reduces. And we haven't yet tried it out on our modular helmets. But modular helmets are typically, the most important when it comes to this. They're touring helmets. Touring helmets, you want them to be quiet. So noise isolation is also something that can really separate your good helmets from your not so good. So here we are today. We've come up with this test. It's kind of scientific-y, if you will. And it's going to let us just go through, test everything out and compare them fairly without any subjective bias or just telling you how we feel about a particular helmet. So, the best modular helmets of 2019, but which one is quietest? So basically we came up with a test with controls, variables that can be repeated over time, and something that will give us a fair and consistent result. And that was very important, because what's the point of a comparison if you're not essentially comparing the same thing? So what we did was we took a few standard things. We took a laptop, took a measuring tape, a foam head and microphone, and of course the helmet. It's not a difficult test to set up. You can run it yourself if you like. So we get the laptop, we have a tone. We get that tone, we turn up the volume of the laptop to the max. Then we take the laptop, set it down, get your foam head. We only ever use foam because otherwise it's weird. And we take the mic, we tape it onto the ear just there. Then what we want to do is measure out 50 centimeters on our measuring tape. Just like that. Then you can use like the lines on the table, something like that, make sure we get a nice even distance of 50 centimeters. And then we just put the head at the 50 centimeter mark. It's that easy. And we're almost ready to test it. So now let me show you the beep. And I warn you, it's not a pretty sound. So it's going to run for exactly 5 seconds. It feels like a lot longer, but it's a 5-second beep. It's always the same. It's always consistent. Volume on the computer's to the max, like I've just said. And this is how we keep it consistent. We can run this beep at least 2 times, typically 3. That ensures that we get a solid baseline, and we can take the averages and make sure we don't have any outliers. And now that that's explained, I guess it's time to move on to our first test. And first up, we have the roof box of carbon. So we only test helmets in the size L as well, and that's because everything has to be consistent. That's a key thing with this, and we have to make sure that the fit of the helmet is going to be always the same on our dummy head. So when we look at the decibels and the testing, we want to make sure we get a couple things. First, we want to look at the test and make sure that everything is consistent, that the volume is consistent, and because we use a single tone every time, the readings should be pretty stable. The next thing that we want to look at is the decibel reading itself, and because we're looking at the amount of noise blocked by the helmet, we only need to see the difference between the control and the helmet. This will tell us exactly how many decibels were blocked by the helmet, and we can always compare this to all of our other tests. So to get our results, we then have to take the control and minus the reading for each helmet test, and from there we can say that the helmet blocked X decibels of noise. So the result we got for our control test was 13, and in this case, the lower the number, the worse the result. So I've also rounded everything to the closest number. I've done this because I don't think many people can tell the difference of 0.3 of a decibel or less. And for these results, I've already subtracted the control from each test, and this number represents the amount of decibels blocked by each helmet. So coming in last is the Shark Evo One 2, which blocked 6 decibels. Then we have the roof box of carbon, the Schuberth C4 Pro, and the AGV Sportmodular, which all blocked 7 decibels. Finally though, we have the Shoei Neotec 2, which did the best by far and blocked 13 decibels. So clearly we have a winner. It's very conclusive, the numbers don't lie, science has triumphed. The Shoei Neotec 2 is the quietest helmet from this test. Now, what surprised me the most about this test were the results with the roof box of carbon. This helmet was as quiet as these 2 helmets. These 2 are premium helmets designed and marketed to be very quiet. and the roof boxer carbon is made to be pretty. Small difference there, but remember what we're testing, and that's how much noise is blocked by the helmet. It's going to be reliant on the shell, the liner, the fit, the visor, the EPS, ventilation. Pretty much everything is going to come into play here. But typically, a lot of these helmets, when they're made, they are made to block out wind and prevent wind noise, which is a slightly different factor. Wind getting into your helmet and whistling around and stuff like that is a major irritation, but we've today only looked at how much noise is actually blocked by the helmet. So I'm pretty sure that on the road, the C4 Pro here is going to be much quieter than the roof boxer carbon. But in our test, that's not what's come up. And that's a really interesting result for me. But I can say that one thing I've been saying for quite a long time held true, and that's that the Neotec 2 is a pretty well-built helmet. So there you have it. The Shoei Neotec 2 stands heads and shoulders above the rest of the competition. Now, if you want to see more about these helmets and how they compare to each other, be sure to check out our Modular Helmets Guide, Best of 2019. Or if you want to see more about the individual helmet, make sure to check out our individual reviews and get a lot more detail that way. So thanks for watching, guys. I'm Chris from Champion Helmets. You can maybe just call me the Professor if you prefer. Remember to subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.